Twitter files, 15. Big Pharma jumps into the fray. They don't like what they see on Twitter either. And so like everybody else, the politicians, the corporations, and everybody else, they decide what should be allowed to be shared. We go to the Twitter files. Li Fang published this one January 16th, 8:30 a.m. He says, new piece from the Twitter files. How the pharmaceutical industry lobbied social media to shape content around the jab policy. Big Pharma putting their boot now on the back of big tech. The push included direct pressure from Pfizer partner BioNTech to censor activists demanding low-cost generic vaccines for low-income countries. Okay, so this has nothing to do with taking the jab or not, mandating whether you take it or not, whether, its efficacy, none of that stuff. It's Pfizer has a product to push, and they want to get paid for it. In 2020, Lee says, it was clear that the pandemic would require rapid innovation. Early on, there was a push to make the solution, what's that word? Equitable. An international partnership to share ideas, technology, new forms of medicine needed to be developed to rapidly solve the crisis. There's a link to a place called Madison Patent Pool and a news release that came out June 16, 2022. A new agreement under CTAP aims to improve global access to COVID testing technologies, published just last year. A new open transparent sublicense agreement between the medicines, this company and that company, and a South African pharmaceutical company, Biotech Africa, will accelerate the manufacture and the sale of antibody technology around the world. The World Health Organization welcomes the sublicense agreement, the first of its kind. CTAP was set up in 2020 to facilitate the timely, equitable, and affordable access to COVID-19 health products. Equitable and affordable. And there was a lot of that talk. You may remember during the COVID era, the pandemic era, who's going to get the first jabs? Should certain different demographics get it? Should certain age groups get it? What about other countries? Certainly don't want a bunch of, rich, entitled people to only have access to it, right? But global drug giants didn't think about it that way. They saw the crisis as an opportunity for unprecedented profit. Behind closed doors, Pharma launched a massive lobbying blitz to crush any effort to share patents or IP for new COVID-related medicine, including for therapeutics and vaccines. And we watched Moderna and Pfizer and all of these companies watch their profits just tick up quarter after quarter. Some of them went from, $100 million companies to 50 billion in a matter of 24 months. It was insane. The lobby group that represents biopharma, including Moderna and Pfizer, wrote the newly elected Biden administration. Biden wins, takes office, they start sending letters. They were demanding that the U.S. government sanction any country attempting to violate patent rights and create generic low-cost COVID medicine or vaccines. If any other country reverse engineered this stuff and started, providing it to their people, that would undercut their profits, man. And they needed to get that money. They needed to get paid. So they started writing to Biden. Drug lobby asks Biden to punish foreign countries for pushing low-cost vaccines. All these people who say, we care about lives and we care about saving you, blah, 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 blah. All right. Well, then why don't you just give all of your vaccines to all of the poor countries all around the world, all those extra vaccines. And you may have seen those clips of the Moderna and the Pfizer CEOs and all of them saying, we have to throw away a bunch of jabs now because people don't want to take them. People aren't getting boosted. So we got to throw all these things away. They want they want you to, yes, buy them. It's fruit that goes bad. They've got to throw it away. From The Intercept, they say President Joe Biden's administration is being asked to punish Hungary, Colombia, Chile, and other countries for seeking to ramp up the production of vaccines and therapeutics without express permission from the pharmaceutical companies. The sanctions are being urged by the drug industry, which has filed hundreds of pages of documents to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative outlining the alleged threat posed by any effort to challenge the basic intellectual property protections in response to the pandemic. The drug industry has sharply criticized any attempt to share patents or technological knowledge. despite the global need, because it undercuts their profits. According to one estimate, wealthy countries represent just 16% of the world's population, already secured more than half of the COVID vaccine contracts. And the current projections show that much of the middle income and developing world will not achieve widespread vaccines for years. Meanwhile, they're just dumping them all in the trash here. So, very curious how they will preen to everybody about how much they want to save lives and how this is all for the good of humanity, while neglecting to share with us that they are demanding that other countries don't get their life-saving miracle products because they're not paying for it. Lee tells us that brings us over to Twitter. The global lobbying blitz from these big pharma companies include direct pressure on social media. BioNTech, which developed Pfizer's vaccine, reached out to Twitter to request that Twitter directly censor users tweeting at them to ask for low generic, low-cost vaccines. Not misinformation, not disinformation, not anything wrong. They're just asking for an alternative offering. Okay, look, if you're going to sell one here in America for 20 or 40 bucks or whatever it is, do you think you can just maybe, buy one, get one free, give one here, give one over there? Like what, what's the deal? You say it's going to save everybody. And you have the capacity to build it. Now you don't want them to build their own because they can't buy it from you? And then when people say you should give them that, right? When you should act as the company that has the power to do it, it's just people sharing their opinion. You should create another product and offer it to other people. Here's what happened. Somebody named Jasmine. Well, we're not going to be able to read this message because evidently it is in German. It says, Dear Frau, Mr. So-and-so. Something, Frag 1112. Not even going to, COVID-19 is right there. It says here, there's a BioNTech Twitter account with this hashtag, it looks like. Something. Is there anything you can do about this? Thank you. Jasmine Altovich, Director of External Communications from BioNTech. All right, letter goes out. We don't like that message. Twitter reps respond. This came in from Pharma. You can see it down here in the bottom left. Twitter's reps respond quickly to the Pharma request. Pharma request also backed by a German government. A lobbyist in Europe asked the content moderation team to monitor the accounts of Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and other hashtags like hashtag people's vaccine. They're saying that, people are saying, look, we're donating like or dedicating billions of dollars to you pharmaceutical companies to go, Operation Warp Speed, all this crap. So it's a global good. It's a public good. Just give it away to everybody because you say it's going to save everybody's lives. So just give it away. But they don't want to do that. So when Pfizer and AstraZeneca, when people are tweeting at them, hashtag people's vaccine, they say, can you please stop that? It's making us look really, really bad. Nina sent this one to a bunch of people on December 13, 2020. It says, hi, Twitter people, LP and S, all of these people. It says, we got contacted by BioNTech as well as the German Federal Office for information security. This is a Twitter email. For an online campaign targeting the pharmaceutical companies developing the COVID vax. This is December, right? Election just happened, 2020. Kamala and Joe had said, no, we're not going to take it if it comes out before the election. Then it came out right after the election, conveniently. And now Joe and Biden go take it. Vaccine is announced for tomorrow. Developing the vaccine is announced for tomorrow. They say there's a bunch of hashtags that are going to jump out. Join CTAP, hashtag people's vaccine. Could you support us and have an eye on the relevant hashtags in the following accounts? And they detail them all there for us as well. BioNTech Group, Pfizer German, Pfizer Moderna _TX, AstraZeneca. Nina says the authorities are warning about, quote, serious consequences of the action, i.e. posts and floods of comments that may violate the terms of service, as well as a, quote, takeover of user accounts are to be expected. Especially the personal accounts of the management of the vaccine manufacturers are said to be targeted. Accordingly, fake accounts could also be set up. Okay, so it's like a preemptive drop. Developing the COVID vaccine is announced for tomorrow, starting at 9 a.m. There's a whole new campaign. take out fake accounts. The German authorities also refer to the source, amongst others. It's a permissible campaign. So the German government's now involved as well. Please let us know if there are any questions. Thank you very much. All of this being communicated to Twitter for security support. Lee says, these potential, quote, fake accounts that probably didn't exist, that Twitter monitored for protesting Pfizer, oh, they were real people. They weren't fake accounts. They were real people. Here's one that the Twitter team flagged for potential terms of use violations. Lee says, I talked to Terry, this person right here, 74-year-old retired bricklayer in the UK. Is like for what? Like terrorist camps? Like constructing bricks for terrorist fortresses or something? Is he the leader? He's 70s. He's the senior fellow of the Bricklayer ISIS Association. Let's see what Terry said. Terrorist Terry said, Dear Alberta, here's the post from Terrorist Terry. Terry Brough says, Dear Alberta, SB cancel and so on, 9 out of 10 people in poor countries are going to miss out on the vaccine. Will Pfizer and biotech and AstraZeneca join CTAP to ensure that everyone everywhere can be safe? We need a hashtag people's vaccine. Wow. Okay, this is unbelievable. He should definitely be censored. Lee says, it's not clear what actions Twitter ultimately took on this particular request. Several Twitter employees noted in subsequent messages that none of this activism constituted abuse. It's a totally innocent statement. He's a nice dude, man. He's just saying, can we get everybody else the jab? I mean, we don't want to be like keeping other people out. Several Twitter employees noted in subsequent messages, none of this activism is abuse. They probably agreed with him, but the company continued to monitor his tweets. In a separate push, Pfizer and Moderna, the lobbying group Bio, fully funded a special content moderation campaign designed by a contractor called Public Goods Projects, which work with Twitter to set content moderation rules around, quote, COVID misinformation. Bio spent $1.275 million over to the campaign, which is conducted by a private contractor. Public Good Projects, part of which is revealed through tax forms. You can see that here. The PGP campaign, called Stronger, helped Twitter create content moderation bots, select which public health accounts got verification, and it helped crowdsource content takedowns. Let's look at this. Name and business address. We have Public Good Projects, Mount Vernon, Alexandria, Virginia. Consulting organization, got $800,000 and $883,000. More consulting for live media. And there's probably some more money elsewhere. But you can see a lot of money is being paid. Here's another tax record, it looks like. Here they say, this looks like a screenshot from maybe their software. How to report accounts on Twitter. Tap the post, click report tweet, click it's suspicious or spam, click it's something else. How to report. All right, so these are just literal scrollers, okay, who are little digital hall monitors who are censoring people off the internet because they're saying bad things about COVID. They're not even saying bad things about COVID. In this case, they're saying bad things about the pharmaceutical companies who are not being equitable enough. They always want to come and preen to the rest of us. But they're not even equitable in themselves. Unbelievable. Now, in a separate push, they continued. Many of the tweets that the BIO-funded campaign focused on were truly unhinged misinfo, like claims that the jabs had, weird things in them, which were all debunked and all conspiracies and not true. But others long lobbied Twitter were more of a gray area, like vaccine passports and other mandates. Mandates they were targeting. Stronger wrote this. President Biden's new strategy will impact 2/3 of U.S. workers. We remember that. Yeah, a lot of people were going through very difficult times back at that moment. President Biden unveiled a 6-point strategy last week to turn the tide on the pandemic. Here's another person who apparently posted an illegal tweet. Stephanie Seneff looks like an Al-Qaeda terrorist. says if a vaccinated person and an unvaccinated person have roughly the same capacity to carry, what difference does all of these checks and balances matter? Why do we need to track people based on their status? That's all she was asking. Showed up on a list. The Moderna Pfizer funded campaign that created those bots and was tracking all of those people included direct regular emails with lists of tweets to take down and others to verify. Here's an example of those types of emails that went straight to Twitter's lobbyists and content moderators. Many were focused on Zero Hedge, which was suspended, which is a heck of a website. I check it very regularly and follow it often. Here, they write this. This letter comes in from publicgoodprojects.org. That's the LLC, or that's the organization that was created and funded by Bio, which is the lobbying entity for the pharmaceutical, industry, essentially. Bio funds this. So it's an extension of Bio. It's the pharmaceutical industry. They create Bio, which is their lobbying arm. They all donate a bunch of money to this. Bio then creates its own little third-party, fact checker called PGP to do whatever they say to make sure that the content fits the narrative of the pharma companies. So PGP, this sort of third party all the way down here at the bottom, they send a letter over to Twitter. This is on February 24, 2022. PGP misinfo report and verification requests. They write, "Hi all," at Twitter, presumably. Please see attached for this week's misinfo report, along with our batch verification request. So all of their people are also getting verified. They're like dealing drugs for blue check marks. This week, says this person, who identifies as a she, her, and hers, which is very good to know. Don't know if that's reality or not, but that's the identification. The name is actually redacted. But she writes, "This week, we saw people opposed to vaccines are capitalizing on the NYT article and about the CDC withholding info. The articles do not contain misinformation themselves, but are using the news to further prove the lack of trustworthiness about organizations." Stop them from doing that. In other words, none of this is illegal. It's not actual misinformation, but they're sharing a story that makes the CDC look bad, is all that is. Another heavily trending article details a German health insurance company official who says that one report doesn't match other reports, and that article is difficult to fact check because it doesn't include the data. All right, so we don't like these stories. These are two bad stories that are really hurtful to our narrative. It's making the official sources look bad, so can you please do something about it? They also included 2 Excel files. So one is the suggested account, probably removals, right, in an Excel spreadsheet. Don't know how big that is or what files are in there. But we also have the weekly Twitter probably verification requests because they're laundering blue check marks through PGP. Oh, this guy's he's a total pro jabber. Give him a blue check mark along with all of the other, all of those other people. Sending it over to Twitter. Again, though, this is not a government entity. Twitter's free to do this. They're free to do it. It's disgusting and unethical. It's antithetical to free speech. It's reprehensible, and every single company should be shamed for doing this type of stuff. But it's not Adam Schiff. It's not Fauci. Li Fang says, notably, this massive push to censor and label COVID misinfo never applied to drug companies. When Big Pharma wildly exaggerated the risks of creating low-cost generic COVID vaccines, Stronger did nothing. The rules applied only to critics of the industry. Yeah, it's their group. That's why they created it. Not to be fair, fact checker. Public good, it's like, it means nothing. It's like the Human Fund. I donated to the Human Fund. For what? For humanity. Oh, that's great. That's really generous of you. What is it? Pharma says here, the biopharma sector employs more than 900,000 workers and supports 4.4 million jobs. Those jobs would be at risk if the TRIPS waiver is extended to COVID treatments, right? Meaning if other countries can create low product jabs, it's going to hurt us. That's why we can't do it. Read about the real consequences if we waive our intellectual property. If we give the jabs to the rest of the world, American workers are going to suffer and you're going to die because they want to get that money. They want that profit and you're going to pay for it, world. Nobody gets it for free. Lee Fang says, here is my reported piece with more detail. Says, I was given access to Twitter emails. I signed, agreed to nothing. Twitter had no input in anything I did or wrote. Searches were carried out by a Twitter lawyer, so I only saw what I saw could be limited. And of course, go over to Lee Fang's Substack. He is creating a Substack. It's at leefang.substack.com, and you can read more about his full report at his website on The Intercept. And of course, we love all of our Twitter journos, Twitter files journos. Lee Fang is one of them. And so there will be more to come, certainly, on this and more Twitter files. And we will continue to cover it. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you are watching this video. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.